Good evening, everyone. I'm Rakhi Gautam from greytHR, the moderator for this Parichay webinar session today. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us. And we are equally excited to host you today. The topic that we will be discussing upon is a very important topic and something that is, something that never really goes away, right? Not just as part of our professional journey, but also part of our personal development, which is learning. And I'm sure a lot of you would agree with me on that. And that is the reason why we have chosen this topic today, which is HR's role in personalized growth, uh, rethinking L&D impact. Now, before I dive into the topic, let's do a little housekeeping on how this session goes. So the session is divided in two parts. The first part will be the discussion with our experts, which will then be followed by an audience Q&A. So audience Q&A is where time is all yours. You can start putting across your questions and we will be able to take them up towards the end of the discussion. However, I'm sure a lot of these questions would already be answered or might be answered in the discussion that we'll have in the first half. Now, let's not just restrict yourself to the questions, but also if you have any feedback or any anecdotes or any personal examples of the topic that we are discussing today, you can drop your comment in our Q&A option, and we would love to hear your insights as well on this. Now, without any further delay, let's start the discussion. And as I said, today HR is playing a pivotal role in shaping personalized, impactful learning journeys that go far beyond tick box training, right? We don't want to restrict ourselves to just a set of rules and a set of strategies that we have that, okay, for X person to grow in the organization, they should just do these 5 courses and that should be all. No, we want to make learning personalized, more impactful, more comprehensive for our employees today specifically. And that is why what we'll be discussing today would be very helpful for you to plan and implement strategies that would work for your organization, be it a small medium business, or if you are a large business unit, you can take actions, you can take examples, you can refer to the strategies that we'll be discussing and how you can mold them, modify them to fit to your organization. Now, as workplaces evolve, we understand that employee expectations around career development, learning autonomy, and meaningful growth also evolve, right? So, in this discussion, we will be, touching upon some key areas, which I'll quickly take you all through, which is the shift from generic training to personalized learning, designing individualized learning journeys, using data and tech to drive L&D personalization. Now, in all the previous sessions also that we have discussed, we understand that we cannot talk about anything or we cannot have a complete conversation until we bring data and technology into it. So today also we'll be covering that. Apart from that, we'll also be talking about a manager's role in shaping their team members' career development as to how we can empower managers in employee development. And lastly, we'll also be discussing about strategies on how we can measure learning outcomes beyond completions. That, okay, one person has completed a course or a set of courses, but have they really implemented that in their day-to-day activities? Are those courses really helping them in any way? What is the meaningful outcome of the particular L&D that we designed for a particular team or an individual? Now, of course, as I said, there's lots to learn today and lots to discuss. And I'm thrilled to be joined by two highly accomplished HR leaders, each bringing deep experience in people development, learning strategy, and business-aligned growth modules. As you can see on your screen, we have with us Mr. Sudeep Kumar Sen, Vice President at GI Group India, and Ms. Chandrika MG, Virtual CHRO at A Wellness Private Limited. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us today. Let me quickly take our audience through your profiles. Mr. Sudeep joins us with more than 2 decades of experience, and he specializes in Salesforce planning, hiring, training, productivity metrics development, and implementation. His passion for scale and innovative thinking has played a key role in the growth of several large business conglomerates. Throughout his career, he has successfully delivered innovative and scalable solutions across sectors such as industrial, manufacturing, engineering, and technology. A very well-known speaker and frequent contributor to prominent HR journals, he's widely respected for his strategic insights and thought leadership in the HR services industry. And a lot of you who have been part of our Parichay for over 2 years now would know him, would recognize him from our previous sessions. And once again, a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Sudeep. It's a pleasure to host you here today. Moving on, we have another expert speaker joining us, Chandrika MG, virtual CHRO at A Wellness Private Limited. With over 12 years of experience in the dynamic world of human resources, Chandrika has worn many hats, ranging from managing core HR operations to leading strategic initiatives that attract, engage, and retain top talent. Her journey is driven by a deep passion for people and a strong belief that a motivated team is the heartbeat of every successful organization. And I personally second that, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree on that. Well regarded for her open door approach, transparent communication, and natural ability to connect with individuals across all levels. Chandrika thrives on creating inclusive workplaces where people feel valued and empowered. With an unwavering commitment to people management, she continues to explore innovative ways to nurture talent, foster growth, and make a meaningful impact. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, Chandrika. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Raki, and pleasure to be part of this Parichay series once again. I think the topic is very interesting, and I think what I believe is these are the sessions through which we will be able to inspire a lot of people who are probably on the verge of starting their professional careers, and also people who have got experience and looking to reskill and skill themselves further. And learning and development is one of the most effective way of skilling as well.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Sudeep, and agree with you on that. Now, before we dive into the questions, I want to launch a poll for our audience to also understand their perspective on this topic that we are discussing.
Sure.
So the question is, what is the biggest barrier you face in delivering effective L&D today? Is it lack of personalized learning paths, low engagement with training programs, inability to measure impact, limited budgets or tech resources, or managers not invested in development? Now, this is, of course, not a right or a wrong question. This is just to understand your perspective as to what is it that you see as a challenge in L&D today. So I would urge each one of you to participate. Let's make this session more engaging and more conversational. So it should be, both ways. It shouldn't be just the speakers talking today. We also want to hear your insights. Okay, we'll have this poll for another 25 seconds, and then I'll end the poll and share the result with all of you. Okay, let me end the poll now and share the result. Thank you so much to everybody who participated. So it's a mix. There is 32% of you saying that low engagement with training programs, 28% lack of personalized learning paths, 17% says managers not invested in development, 14% limited budgets or tech resources, and 9% inability to measure impact. And I think all of these are very valid points and very valid and practical challenges that we actually see a lot of us facing today. So let's discuss and hear from our experts how we can overcome them. So to start off with, Mr. Sudeep, to you, well, we spoke about this in the beginning also, that the shift from one size fits all training to personalized learning is accelerating. We understand that from both the employers as well as the employees side, we understand that people have understood this concept that what worked in the past may not work anymore. And we need to make trainings more personalized, right? Also, in fact, according to a LinkedIn Workforce Learning report, 78% of L&D professionals believe personalized learning is more effective. Now, in your view, what's fundamentally driving this change? Is it technology, employee expectations, or business needs today?
I think the the first thing is the acknowledgement that we need to invest time in order to understand the training need of different individuals. Like it is said that in a classroom, all the 30 students do not belong to a specific bucket. Each one have their area of learning. Each one of them have the area of improvement. Similarly, one thing is also important, area of interest. If I'm not picking up the right set of people and then I'm not putting the right training content on which they need to be trained, the output cannot be what we desire. So I think the first thing is what is that we need to train them on, and who are the people who I'm looking to train are two very important aspects. So and hence there is to be a lot of investment of time. Once we are done with that, we need to understand the engagement process. There are different people who have different caliber of being engaged. So if you're training a set of even 10 people, you will realize that probably around 3 to 4 of them can keep themselves engaged for a longer period of time. And then there are people who probably the frequency or the highest frequency at which they can keep it themselves engaged is for a shorter period of time. There are people who prefer training content to be a lot more academic. There are people who prefer it to be gamified. Now, these are different because we are dealing with different generations, we are dealing with different skill set of people and different understanding. A lot of thought has to be put into this. Now, usually what we see is a content is developed and there is always a push to accept it. It cannot go that way. It has to be a two-way traffic. It has to be engaging. Maybe it needs a little bit more time. And most interestingly, you can't finish it off at one go. You need to put this training, put them to work, see how the what is they've been trained on is impacting their work. Are they really putting it into work right now? Desired results are coming out, and then you need to do something which is called as retrain. You need to again retrain. You need to see to it that whatever they have got trained, is it really been effective? And the last thing which I will say is when we are doing the need for retrain and content of retrain and all of this, I think the important aspect is analytics. To begin with, there could be a lot of English, but as you travel the journey, it has to be analytics. Number of sessions attended, number of sessions attended in full, and what's the impact? I mean, that's what analytics is going to do. So I think this is the transformation which is happening. People in the learning and development sector is understanding that uh, probably 20 years back, the focus was, have you completed the training? If you have completed the training, put a tick mark and the job is done. Today, the need is that has your training influenced the person to learn more, and is the outcome coming out of it? Because the world has changed. A trainee is no more a trainee. A trainee is actually a customer as well, because we are trying to help him. If he is trained and he delivers what is to be delivered, then only the organization gains. It is not the training sessions being concluded is a gain of the organization. So I think this transformation and for good.
Very well. No, thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep, and setting the context today, because all those points that you mentioned about how the evolving expectations from employees have changed. We understand that, as employers also, we understand that today there's a need for this L&D programs to be done effectively and not just as a tick box in your, quarterly goals. It has to
Sure.
be measured well, where we talk about, these analytics that can help us understand that there could be that, okay, people attended, but to what length? To, if they, after they attended, after they completed the course, did they implement it in their day-to-day activities? These are the kind of metrics that we need to keep a watch out for to understand the effectiveness of these programs. And of course, learning is something that's always going to be there, right? Even if you are at a position where you are running a 500 fortune company, for example, but there's still a lot, that you can learn, and there's still and That is the kind of, I think, culture also that employers should build in an organization, where of course HR plays a key role in, designing a culture where learning is taken as something which is, which should come naturally to our employees, and it should be made in a way that is also appropriate as well as accepted, and feedback is shared by the employees also. You touched
Sure.
upon how there are people who would prefer academic courses, to there are people who would prefer gamifications, and so because we are catering to multi-generational workforce today, so all these point of course contribute to that change that we are seeing today in the way we have these L&D conversations also. So thank you so
Sure.
much for that, Mr. Sudeep. Moving on to you, Chandrika. um, you know now we understand that there's a need for individualized, personalized trainings as well, right? And designing these personalized learning journeys can be complex, because we have so many people in an organization, right? Everybody would have their own journeys, where they started off, what they aspire to be, which is their current role, and how would they want to progress from there. Of course, a lot of L&D will help them, build that gap and go to where they want to be, right? So could you walk us through maybe a real life example or an anecdote that you would want to share from your experience, where personalization made a measurable difference in learner engagement or performance, and rather than just a tick box, in the journey?
Definitely. This is actually a very interesting question, to be frank. And the background is already given by Mr. Sudeep. See how from classroom training to individual training, there is a requirement now. So I would take up an example where I recently worked in my previous, one of my previous jobs as a senior manager, HR. So that was at the Airing LLC where I worked. And it is a business consulting firm which is into data analytics. It helps these clients to address their business concerns and design suitable solutions. So we hired a lot of data analysts, data scientists, and data engineers over there. The thing is, people normally what happens, the employees normally what they think is they are doing something and they're doing it. It's just that. So, what is required? What is the trend of the day? Somebody has to trigger it. Somebody has to make them understand. See, this is what we require in the current day, and we stand here. We need to upgrade ourselves. So, to bring that understanding itself takes time. There will be a lot of arguments happening. And when I did such an exercise in my previous job, we first had an approach where we normally do the skill gap analysis, right? So we listed out what are the required skill sets for each role. And specifically, we were doing it for data analysts at that point of time. So we listed out, we asked the team leads to rate their team members according to the skill sets. I mean, whatever skill sets, where they stand, and what is the requirement. What happened was, once we did that, we approached the team members. I think one of them can say where what I missed during my first approach. So what we did, we went with that data to each team member and said, see, you need training in this, training in this, training in this. So we are planning for this. Just why should I get trained in this particular thing? I know. Okay, for example, Excel, basic thing. Why will I get trained in Excel? I've been doing this job from almost 2.5 years, and I'm fine with that. So where did I go wrong? First of all, that question that was a question triggered at that point. Where I went wrong was I never approached the member who was supposed to be trained. Right. I first have to have an interaction with them. I should make them understand where do they stand in those skills. So then we went with a similar format, but we got it self-assessed first. We made the team members themselves assess, rate, and we didn't stop with that. We got them, they gave the rate for themselves in each skill sets, and then we gave them certain practical tasks. We gave them a lot of quizzes, assignments. So we wanted them to understand, oh my God, this is where I've missed. I thought I knew this, but I don't know this. So this is very important to make them realize there is a need for training. There is a need for learning for them. So that is the first step we started. But before that, as I mentioned, a lot of arguments, disappointments, coming back to me. Why, madam? Why should I get trained? I already have so much of work. I don't get time at all. When will I learn, first of all? So they have, they have deadlines. They have a lot of deadlines, and they were supposed to adhere. So then we started, after this initial assessment, as I mentioned, then we had to sit with each of the team member and explain them, see, these are the things you have to learn. It's not that you attend all at once. This is self-paced. This is a trainer-based. So we are, making it a kind of hybrid mode so that each of them have an opportunity to learn. And we know where they'll have their specific goals, as you mentioned. They know where to reach. If somebody is working as an entry level analyst, he might want to be a senior consultant. So to be a senior consultant, you need to do so many things. By the time you reach there, you have to be an expert in certain things. So these things, sitting with each of the team member, explaining them and making them realize, okay, these are the trainings, and you let me know there are certain things which an employee can self learn, right? So we also used to give them, I also gave them an opportunity to select which they would self learn. Give them a deadline. So for self learning, you decide your timeline. We had something in mind. We had 3 months. If somebody said 2 months, we are much happier. 3 months is fine. But beyond that, we used to pull it back and make it a quarter. So it was like that. So they decided the pace. They decided whether they want to self-learn, and if not self-learn, they requested us, please arrange for a training. So that's how we again divided whatever is the maximum. If maximum number of people wanted the higher training from an external trainer or a classroom training, whatever it is, we gave them a lot of flexibilities in choosing. It's not that, Arey, you come sit in the class, as Mr. Sudeep mentioned earlier trainings, come sit in the class, finish it, lunch break, go out, come back at 1:30, sit, sign it and go away. Not that. You select, you choose, and then you own. That is your responsibility. Be accountable for whatever you choose. So that's how. So I mentioned you the customized learning paths, like whether they needed foundational skills, whether they needed advanced techniques. We decided making them sit along with us, and we made them commit to that learning process. So then blended learning, as I mentioned, whether it is live, classroom, self-paced, whatever they chose. Then application focused, what we were doing is real life cases, more than go through the textbook, write your answers. Real life cases, because they were facing the clients day in and day out. They knew the problems. We used to pick up those issues which they failed. There were certain assignments which they were supposed to give it to the client after completing the study, after completing the analysis. So we used to pick up those particular things, discuss. So first, initially, what we used to do, ask them what are their findings, and after the training, what are their findings in a similar setup, in a similar scenario. Excuse me. So that difference itself, the way they thought about it, what all they applied, what logics they applied, so that would have changed, definitely changed drastically. The way they used to find out and present it, even presentation is equally important, because they face the clients day in and day out. So the way they presented it, the way they explained it, entire thing changed, because we concentrated not just on technical but also behavioral and communication, soft skills. So this entire shift happened because we also gave them continuous feedback. And if they are unable to handle something, okay, what else can be done? What is the option? So we were open, because that was the first exercise we did at that particular organization. What was the result then? After so much, it took nearly 6+ months to get people adjusted to this space, and get an impact, get influenced by this. There was an increased engagement. More and more of them started asking for training. What can I undergo? What can I learn? That was the approach. Then their actual performance, the post training performance, increased by 40% as per the analysis. It increased by 40%, and their clients were really satisfied, and the satisfaction scores also increased by around 25%. So this is how an individualized training program has to focus, and we have been successful in handling this individualized program. Yeah, I think this is my real life experience, I can say. This is the most previous one.
Oh, very comprehensive, I must say, Chandrika, because this really shows how a personalized, L&D program can change the way employees actually look at it also. Because when we talk about, like, for example, when we talk about onboarding, right, or the first call that we make to a potential candidate, we say that, okay, this is your role and responsibility. When they get onboarded, then we again say, this is your role and responsibility. But until we tell them the larger picture, that this is how your role and responsibility is contributing to the overall success of the organization, they will not be able to understand the importance and the importance of it, right? Now, you talked about how you went ahead and first asked the team leads and they gave something. But then when you actually went to each of these team members and asked them to assess themselves and see which is something that they're lacking, which is something that they're not lacking. And I think one great point that you talked about was, or actually practically doing that skill. Because a lot of us would say that, okay, what, we understand Excel or we have the skill, but to what extent and what is required is also something that we need to analyze. So when we give that flexibility to the employee who's actually at the fourth center of this L&D program, they understand the strategy better, they understand where they are and what is the objective behind such a lengthy program. And then you also talked about giving them flexibility if they prefer modern technologies to do these courses, or they would prefer a classroom training, and then also practically applying them to their day-to-day activities. And as you said, if more people are coming to you, knocking your doors and saying, what, I also want to learn, I think that is the biggest congratulations that you can have, and pat yourself at the back that, okay, you did a good job, right? Because you were able to bring everybody together, however still gave them personalized training, which is what is required at the moment. So thank you so much for that, Chandrika. Moving on to my next question to you, Mr. Sudeep. As I talked about in the beginning, right, we cannot talk about anything until technology is mentioned. And with technology, we have further classified it into, artificial intelligence, automation, a lot of machine learning, right? So we understand that L&D technology is evolving fast, from AI-driven recommendations to adaptive learning platforms. In fact, a recent McKinsey report also revealed that companies using advanced learning analytics see a 20 to 30% improvement in learner engagement. So we understand that, okay, tech is playing a role and tech is giving result also. So we understand this is great, right? A lot of technological infusion which is required. But at the same time, that question that still lags us sometimes, how do we balance it? How do we balance the need of, technology with human centric, learning design also? So in your view, how can we balance, how we can strike the right balance between technology and human interventions when it comes to designing an L&D program?
See, we have to understand one thing, which is, and this is to do with upbringing, culture, exposure, all of it. Um, when it happens that we try to learn something, everything is, and if everything is module driven, we might not get hooked up that much. And and what we feel is what we learn. If academically, if there is a video also, uh, you know, the ability to learn is much faster. What does it mean? It means that as time goes by, and what's happening today, it's a mixture of many interactions. Uh, Human beings are exposed to new things. At the same time, the ability to intake is not a flat line for everyone. It is a curve. It varies from people to people. Hence, we have to again understand the very important aspect that usage of AI is definitely going to be there. But we need to also understand that my training content shall have varieties, which means it should have certain assessments, which has to be in a Q&A way, but it also has to have case studies built around it so that the people can engage, people can feel that, oh, it can happen even with me. I can also be part of somebody. I'm reading a case which is about people which is just striking distance, which means if I put my effort, I can be also he or she. it also has to have a right way of doing things, which can be a video, a gamified video. And then we need to also show the carrot, which means people who have undergone the training, how their career have progressed. Because the world is today about instant gratification. I mean, we spend less time in kitchen, we do more of Zomato, Swiggy, right? I mean, we don't wait to things to happen. Rather, we depend upon technology and applications for things to happen. So it's a word, and that's how it is. There's no debate why it is so. I think it's how it is. It is about instant gratification. So the modules have to also see. You have to also understand one thing. I often hear that employers have to be patient. Well, how much more patience? There's a money being put by them. They also need results. Come on, hello. They need have putting money, so they also need results. And hence, the focus should be again on the fact that there has to be variety of training stuffs to be given. You need to filter the trainees that you are looking to train. You should not lament at the end that I did so much, but only this much came out, because then you have chosen the wrong set of people. You have to put an entry barrier. Quality has to be the key. And then you train people on varieties, you will get this. And it has to be a blend of technology, human touch, and most interestingly, it has to be a blend of things that is being done for people and the results that they have got. That inspires people a lot more than you relaying a case study of a corporate.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. And very well said. It's very important that we, the first step is for any plan, for any strategy to work is doing that work yourself. We first
Yeah,
need to understand where we are, what needs to be done, who needs to be who needs to be, included in a particular L&D program. And
yeah,
then not just depend completely on the technology to do it so that, okay, we have given you courses, we have made these LMS platforms for you, here's the user ID and password, go on and do some 50 courses yourself, but also have those one-on-ones with your managers, with your HR, with your L&D manager, that can help you understand that maybe this is something that you need to do right now. This is
yes,
what can help you, achieve greater results. While you do want to explore a course that might help you in another 5 years, you would want to first do a course which will help you in the next 6 to 8 months, based on the current market trends, or what is the kind of role that you are into and what more reskilling is required. So that perfect combination between having those people conversations as well as giving the right tools and technologies to our employees is very well important. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. Now moving on to you, Chandrika, but before we do that, I do have one more poll to launch for our participants today, and I would urge each one of you to participate in this. Again, this is not a right or a wrong question. This is just to understand your perspective and where you are here, where do you stand in terms of L&D today. So according to you, what area of your L&D strategy needs the most improvement? Is it building customized learning paths? Is it engagement and adoption of training? Is it role of managers in employee development, leveraging learning data and analytics, and aligning L&D with business outcomes? And I'm just so proud to say that all these pointers that we have added here is actually we have discussed in detail in the last 3 to 4 questions that we have about how we can make these customized learning programs, the kind of engagement and adoption which is required, what is the role of a manager when it comes to employee development. We talked about data and analytics and how we can drive those results. We need to keep a strong watch and take those continuous feedback, and of course L&D with aligning L&D with business outcomes, that okay, we will learn this, but how will me learning this help the objective of the organization? So another 10 seconds for you all to choose your option here, and then we'll take it forward. Okay, a lot of you have already participated. The rest of you, please do so. Okay, I will end the poll now. And let's see the result. Again, this was not a right or a wrong question. This was just to understand your perspective. So we have 30% that says aligning L&D with business outcomes, 25% role of managers in employee development, 18% engagement and adoption of training, 17% building customized learning plans, and 10% leveraging learning data and analytics. So Thank you so much, everybody, for your participation. And the next question is actually based on this. We saw that 25% of you, which was the second highest, chose role of managers in employee development as one of the areas of improvement in your L&D strategy. To you, Chandrika, I will want to understand. And my statement also says this, that managers are often the missing link of successful L&D, right? So are there any specific nudges or practices that you would recommend that can turn managers into proactive learning advocates?
Definitely, yes. Because yeah, we have seen managers kind of day in and day out into achieving targets. Ricky, what happened? What happened here? How much have you achieved? Because I need to give the report to my BU head. That's the only thing. But yes, our first step is to somehow pull the managers and, make them the learning advocates, first of all, because they need to understand the importance of learning for their team members. That's the thing. And they should understand that's how they can, progress for their future, for their, progressive roles. That's how they also enter. So normally what we used to do, what I have been suggesting is very simple. It's a kind of dashboard, first of all, regular usage of the dashboard with a lot of data and analysis about the team members, their skill sets that needs to be learned. They need to be trained upon the completion rates, a normal dashboard, what we look at, the skill gaps and how they have been learning and is the impact happening, because they are the ones who know day-to-day impact. They are the ones to understand how their team members have been working. So that's one thing. Apart from that, I can say the recognition and feedback programs, that has to be a part of it. Almost every discussion, they have to say, see, this is what you have not done well, this is what you have done really well. So the recognition also has to be there, the feedback also has to be there. I'm talking about whether it is a negative feedback and a positive feedback. So both have to be communicated to the team members so that they understand and they feel the manager is concerned about their growth. That we have to bring into the team members, mindset. Then normal discussions, one-on-one discussion, they talk about focusing on their development and learning goals again. They say, what do you want to be like, what is your next position you are looking at, where do you want to reach in whenever you growing in this current organization. So if they keep on discussing, I feel the team members get more involved and the managers also get the right information from the team members so that they can motivate them, they can make them understand the need for learning and put them rather than put them I can say convince them for the right learning programs and get them trained. But for this we need to be in the back office for them. Okay, push the managers to do it. It's not very easy to, we just call them and say, did your team members attend this training? Please tell them. They'll say, yeah, I'll tell, and they forget it there. It's not that. We need to send them the reminders. See, this is the training they were supposed to attend. Please talk to them and make them attend. That's the initial step we were doing. Automated reminders we used to do. The mailers used to go to them to understand. And the one-on-ones we used to schedule one-on-ones for the manager, the team member, and the HR to understand the learning progress, the track, how they're going, how it is getting impacted on each and every week. Rather, every week's development, the progress used to be analyzed, tracked, monitored, and the impact used to be measured. Then, normally, what we used to do, I used to set up. I'm sorry that I'm saying I used to set up because I've done this. This is my most favorite topic. So, I used to set up the discussion with the management, the CEO, the BU heads, and the managers, where they discuss the success stories of the managers who were more interested, who were the advocates of learning to their team members. So, they used to understand, okay, this is the way we can make it more professional and that the target can be achieved much better. And the recognition programs, as I mentioned, and, praise your team member in front of everyone. See, this is what he has achieved. The entire team, if someone is praised, definitely others will get that motivation. So we use that mindset, that trigger, and we embed learning in the regular meetings. So make it as a practice to discuss. This is one of the practices we always suggested. Include this in your standard agenda. Please make it. We please discuss about learning. Then sit with the team members with their personal development plans. As the work the HR is doing, that's the actual responsibility of the managers, and HR helps them, assists them in doing that. It is not HR does it directly with the team members. So we help the managers to do that, but manager is the person whom the team members trust the most, and whatever comes from him, they will trust and they will just take it. Most of them take it so blindly that they know I am going to succeed. So we have to request, we have to keep this managers on toes for this personalized development plans, talk to the team members, and accordingly create the tailored growth plans. Then the managers also train. The managers also themselves train the team members. That is one of the methods where the manager has a particular expertise. So that is more impactful, is what I have seen when the managers train. Okay, and that is as per my experience because they know him. It's like our favorite teacher teaching us. We tell she, she compliments very good to us, and we are happy in the class. So it's like that. And skill based incentives is one thing also. What we had introduced, like if somebody has achieved a certain level in learning, and there has been an impactful, recognizable change in their work, the application of the technical techniques and skill sets. So we used to reward them. We had linked it to the incentives, to the PMS, say performance management systems, to the promotions, and to the increments. So in a, this manager had to do this because he had to achieve all those four. One is recognition, reward, increment, incentive. So this is how we push them, because just by calling them and reminding, it doesn't work. They need to get something in return. So this is how we took it forward.
Very valid, and thank you.
I'll just second this. I have seen certain organizations during the appraisal process, they keep a set specific weightage that during the year, how many training sessions were conducted by the team members and what has been the impact in the final outcome. So basis that is when they, there is a weightage given to their final increments or the final process as well. So what's coming out with experiences which has been shared by Chandrika as well, that these exercises, these entire process has to be looked as much more engaging and outcome driven rather than looking at it as a episodic thing to do by a department in an organization.
Very valid, very valid. And thank you so much, Chandrika, for that practical, example that you shared step by step and how it really contributes, right? Because I think one thing that just, sums it up is the role of a manager is such that it's like you, as an L&D manager, you first train the manager of a particular team, and then they take it from there so that they also understand the importance of it, and then inculcate the same values and, strategies and suggestions for the team members. Because it's important that, and you talked about continuous feedback, even if it's a positive feedback or a negative feedback, the very very importance of recognition, which I think a lot of us would also agree, not just from an L&D standpoint, but also somebody who's just working in an organization, right? So thank you so much for all the practical examples that you shared, and I hope that everybody is taking notes on these. Now, I do understand that we have covered a lot in just a few questions, and I'm sure a lot of questions are also from the audience. So what I'll do, I'll just take a couple of more questions from my side. And in the meantime, if anybody in the audience has any questions, any feedback, or you can just give us, thumbs up that, okay, you're liking the session, you are there with us, that would help us understand your engagement level also in this L&D session that we're having today. Also, for a lot of you, stay tuned till the very end, because we'll be sharing something very exciting towards the end with all of you. So be here with us and share your insights. Now, coming to you, Mr. Sudeep, uh, we understand and we've talked about it, right? That uh, success of an L&D isn't just dependent upon the completion rates anymore, right? We talked about how there are different metrics that need to be, catered to, need to be evaluated. That okay, this is something that will, or that is giving us meaningful outcomes and results. So, if you can suggest us as an L&D manager, a lot of us would have joined us today, that what are some forward thinking, forward looking KPIs or qualitative signals that we can design for ourselves as quarterly targets or say half yearly targets to measure these impact of an L&D program that we have designed.
That question for me? Is that question for me?
Yes, for you, Mr. Sudeep.
So I think I don't want to sound very repetitive, but what I want to say is I think it begins from the first thing is what's the audience, what's the purpose. I think understanding, defining the process is very important. The next piece comes with whom are we going to do this. Now, a lot of times we have seen that we look forward to a training session as a learning. We have to be very careful about it's a learning session or it's a training session, right? When there is an urge, a need to get quicker results, that's training. That's not learning. That's training. And when you are looking to invest in order to develop a talent pool for your organization, that's called learning. So I always say this or put it across to a lot of my HR fraternity folks as well, that what is that you are looking forward to, right? Because we as an organization also look into that. Once this is clarified or this is very clear in the mind that what's the thing that you are looking forward to, the next thing is all about adoption. Now, as we all say, adoption has its different kind of stories. Like today, if you see any tool which is coming in social media, any new tool that is coming, I think this adoption rate is very high. But you launch an LMS in an organization, the adoption rate is low. So we need to think why it is. Because the interface stuff is not made enough interesting. What do you lose if you're not in that social media? Like today, there are threads and etc. I mean, the kind of adoption rate they have is like fantabulous. It's like what do you call? It's like an epidemic that people kind of take it. But that's not the same thing into it's a lot to do with designing. It's a lot to do with the engaging thing and what do you get after that engaging. So it said that if a person has completed 10 out of 10 training modules and that has impacted the work, even the gatekeeper of the organization should know that this lady or this guy had gone through this training. And then apart from, I mean, why I'm saying the gatekeeper, because obviously the employee should know. And that's going to inspire a lot of people to do. So it's not to do with technology and all. Those are ease of learning or ease of training. A lot of people focus a lot on that. No, it is not. Please understand the cultural aspects that we need to drive for people to adopt it.
Definitely.
That's what is maybe.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. And very, very valid point that one mind shift change that is required at the moment is to understand how this is very culturally, connected. Because we can have loads of technologies, we can have loads of tools, we can have like high class experts, trainers to join us for these sessions. But until and unless we have that mind shift change as to how this is also contributing to an overall well-being of an employee in terms of how their professional development and then of course that accelerates to the overall health of the organization as well, and that is a cultural mind shift that we require at the moment. So thank you so much for sharing.
And the key point, is it training or is it learning?
Yes, very valid, because the KPIs that we spoke about is, of course, the KPIs are going to be very different if it's training, and it's very different if it's learning. As you said, learning is something which is long term, which takes time, which comes with time, and that is something that we need to sustain also. Whereas training is something that needs to be, those quick fixes, those quick skills that are
Well,
required.
if an
So
organization is looking for a quick ROI by training some people and to get that thing, it's training. But if they're looking forward to develop a set of people for 12 long months, then that's learning.
very, very valid. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. That's a key takeaway from this, discussion today. Now to you, Chandrika, and a lot of our audience. Thank you so much for being here with us till now. We'll be taking the questions that you have added in the chat, but just one last question to Chandrika before we move on to your questions is, um, you know, we talked about a lot of things today. We talked about the evolving landscape of how learning has shifted, right? Those traditional modules to modern technologies, the role of managers today, the role of leadership, and the understanding that we need from the leadership to also realize the importance of these L&D programs, how we can measure these L&D programs, which are the different KPIs to watch out for. All these work great, right? But we also understand that if there is change in a function, of course automatically there is a change in that position also. The role of an L&D manager, L&D leader has also changed. The way they would look at strategies before is different from what they are looking right now, right? So what are the new capabilities do you suggest that these L&D leaders need to adopt to today in order to create some excellent L&D programs? Because we talked about learning and development for everybody, right? But what about for L&D managers? How do they approach that?
Yeah, this is really important because we also rely on them, to be frank. Uh, so now it's not a traditional training coordinator, I've called in somebody, you please attend the class, and it is done. So now the L&D leader has to take up the role similar to that of a business partner, because he has to have the business acumen. He has to understand how that business is running. What is the basis? What are the people? What kind of skill sets the employees have to possess? And how? And he definitely should know the why behind the how. I mean, behind every action, he has to know why this kind of training needs to be provided. And then I think the how will be much easier. What kind of training, like classroom, all other modalities. So he has to be a strategic person now. His thinking has to change from regular coordination to a strategic level. And he is to be capable of communicating why certain training is required, and like what kind of interest he has in talent development, that he has to demonstrate. It's not that I tell something, you arrange something, they attend something, learn something. It's not that. Everything has to go in a sequence, and it has to be impactful. And for that, the L&D person has to be really strategic, and he has to get into the shoe of the learner. When he develops something, there is a course, for example, and I attend the course, and I don't know the intention behind why am I attending. I'm told to attend, I'm attending. And whether it gives every person a basic understanding of that course, because this also I have come across the course, the content, everything developed, put online, as Mr. Sudeep mentioned. But whether the learner is really understanding, whether it is getting into his head, what is he supposed to understand from that particular training. So personalization and the learner experience, he has to be really getting expertise into that. And of course, data driven, he has to get into deep technology, data analytics. Everything is in data and analytics nowadays, so he has to develop and keep on the toe to the current trend, and develop the continuous learning culture. It is in his hand. As HR, we do, but he has to be with us. If he or she who is working into the L&D position, if we work together, I'll say it will be the best combination if we both support the same cause of continuous learning. Because just like change, learning is also permanent. That's what I believe. At every stage of life, we keep learning, right? And developing the leadership, that is again a biggest challenge for him. But yes, it has to be dealing with the leaders and high level business stakeholders is very difficult for even L&D, because he has to make them understand. HR is one person. HR understands the in and out of the management, But L&D is a separate task, separate department by itself. They don't know the inside out of this. So, but they have to deal with the business stakeholders. That is the biggest capacity and the most important thing they should possess: stakeholder management, especially at the higher levels, and change management. When something gets in the form of learning, we are expecting a change. It's not just for the sake of it. So the change management skills have to be very much possessed by the L&D leaders, because we have to get into continuous reinforcement of the cause of, requirement for learning. That continuously reinforcing has to be done by the L&D leader, giving the learners what kind of impact he is expecting, or the management is expecting from that particular thing. If the learners match that, if their mindset goes in the same that sequence only, it is successful. Else it is just a training, as it's just for the sake of attendance. So I say, having all this, right from strategic thinking till change management, L&D leader has to have the complete skill sets, and that makes definitely successful. Yeah.
Very valid. Thank you so much for that, Chandrika. And of course, an L&D manager has to hone a lot of skills, right? From change management to leadership skills to understanding the importance and then training these, employees and managers as well. So thank you so much for all that you shared. And today it was a very thought-provoking discussion. Thank you so much to both of you once again. Fantastic insights that we have learned from you, from, unpacking how personalization is just not a trend, but the future of effective L&D, from designing employee-centric journeys to enabling managers, very important, and measuring what truly matters at the end of the day, right? So thank you so much for all that you have shared. But as promised, to our audience, we will be now taking your questions, and we'll try. Some of these are already covered, but we'll try to take them and cover as many as we can. And stay tuned till the very end, because, as I said, there's something that we would like to share with you towards the end. Now, this question is from Lavina. Either of you can take this one up. How do we look at L&D in early age startups?
Okay, I'll take that. How do we look at L&D in what
Early
startup?
age startups, yes.
Early age startup. Okay. I think in the early age startup, every day is to be approached as a new learning. Now, there are two forms of it. One is what is called as business learning, and the other part is the technical learning. Now, when a startup, in a startup environment, I think every day is an evolving day. Every day throws new challenges, and before even a startup is put, I have made my mind that I'm going to sink into it to ensure sustainability. So I think the first journey of learning, I would say here, is that I'm open to any kind of challenges coming, and I'll always look into it that there has to be a way to solve it. It's just that I am little far away from that. That's the mindset that we need to work. As far as technical learning is concerned, I need to be also open to learn from others, because that's also learning. So I might not know everything. Like today, tomorrow, if it happens that I'm part of a startup, I might not know a lot of technical stuff, but I will have a large pool of people in this fraternity who have done it in the past or who has better knowledge than me in the technical front. So I talk to them, I garner it for them, and I bring into it. So these two things as a startup is very important. One, open to accept any challenge, and second is learn from others and implement it.
Very valid. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. Moving on to the next question from Lakshmi Basava. How can L&D shift from being seen as a support function to a strategic driver of business transformation? If you can share some real proven examples, real life examples.
Yeah, I think I have explained a bit about this, because L&D now has to go behind why, first of all. So, what are the business objectives and how do we achieve it? It's not like giving them a target of achievement of sales, all this, but what you require to achieve that sales, that is more important. See, I worked in an organization which was into products and services, both of them. So products required marketing skills. That's different. But technical services required most of the technical skills, right? So there, this learning concept, learning was really important, because each of the results, each result of each assignment mattered to us most, because the client would be retained by us every time when something when the impact was really good. So the transformation, how it happens is, we initially tell them, "Okay, you take this learning or training and you perform," but we don't tell them what do we do, I mean, measure at the end of this particular training. But we would have measured how they perform the same task or the same similar assignment next time, as I already mentioned. So this is the case where the business transformation happens, because day to day, your communication skills, soft skills, we keep telling, but we don't assess that. It's just a matter of behavioral, or whenever you apply your soft skills when you give a presentation. But when the business results, technical analysis results come on paper, we discuss with the client themselves see the difference in the way of we are analyzing it. They themselves see the different way of solutions we are the particular employees giving to them. So that is how the step by step transformation happens, and that is how the strategic involvement of L&D comes into picture. Now, without L&D, no organization can sustain, is what I believe currently. No, though the position might not be created separately, but definitely we see someone to handle the L&D part, who involve them day to day in the L&D part itself.
Thank
I
you so
hope
much.
I have touched upon, but for further questions, yeah, my email ID is fine. They can contact.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much for that, Chandrika. There was a question from Sushmita on please give examples for joining PMS with learning incentives and how was it done. So Mr. Sudeep has already texted the response, which is it can be module completion and also improvement in the KPI rating over a period of 90 days from day of training completion. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. Taking the next question, which is as an L&D manager, what are we have discussed this, but if you want to just maybe brief it upon it a little more, what are measurable KPIs for the junior trainers
I think
as an L&D manager?
I touched upon this. I'll not say there has to be multiple, but I would say I think there are three very important KPIs. Uh, Outcome. What's the outcome? So if my KPI rating pre-training on my KRA was probably 5 out of 10, post-training and in post 90 days of that final date of completion of the training, if I am able to move to 6 or 6.5, then that improvement is the KPI for the junior trainer. The second important thing is, I think, the number of people who have post-training done the number of, undergone the modules, irrespective of right, wrong, within the time frame, the modules that they have gone. Average score, what has been it? Has it improved in the retrain? And what is the rating that the trainees have given for engagement as the important parameter? I think this is what is finally how junior trainers needs to be rated as far as their KPIs are concerned.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. The next question is from Sangeeta. As an HR manager in a mid-sized tech company without a dedicated L&D team, what would be the most effective first steps to build a scalable learning and development framework that aligns with both employee growth and business goals?
Chandrika would address this.
Sure. Chandrika, if you're speaking, you're on mute. I'll just read out
Sorry.
the question once again.
Yeah.
So the question is, as an HR manager in a mid-sized tech company without a dedicated L&D team, what would be the most effective first steps to build a scalable learning and development framework that aligns with both employee growth as well as business goals?
Yes, definitely. This is a situation in the mid-sized companies which have just thought learning is very important. So what we initially come again, I've touched upon this point, to be frank, because we get in touch with the employees by ourselves. We understand what are the requirements of
Right.
the business, first of all, and then make our employees understand. We tell them why they have to learn. So from there, we start up right from the skill gap analysis. We have organizational objectives at the top. We have the employees here where we find out the skill gaps. We address them with suitable trainings, suitable courses, and all. Then we slowly build up. See, initially we don't need an L&D team itself. We need the mindset. That's all we need. We have to create that. We have to change the mindset from comfort zone, come out of it, learn something. So we have to make continuous learning as a part of the culture. Once we inculcate continuous learning in the culture, I think it's very easy. No need of L&D department, but we need only people who want to learn. Then we can design suitable trainings right from internal, say management, the CEO, the BU heads can take up the trainings because they would love to do that. Apart from having multiple tasks and a lack of time, they would be interested. So, and we've done that because they would love to see people learning, growing in the organization. So once we see that, we make the employees understand, it leads to their career growth, and we show them where they would end up if they grow in this level and keep continuous learning. It's just done. No need of L&D, I can say, as a separate department.
Sure.
So,
Thank you so
I
much
know
for
we are
that,
running out
Chandrika.
of time. I'd just like to add one thing. Is the most interesting training sessions have tremendous icebreakers. I mean, I attend a training session which was conducted by one of the IM centers, and they asked what was the menu of the last training session. What did they offer you as a lunch in the menu? And I think everybody participated in it. Everybody participated. The idea of the trainer was not to actually get to know that what was offered in the menu, but to see that how much people were keen to attend that training session in order to actually have lunch. But the point was that everybody spoke about it. Then people were also asked to tell stories about the most boring thing that they actually experienced during the last training sessions, and people were pretty vocal about it.
Sure, sure. And I
The
think,
point was that the trainer actually wanted to engage, and from there onwards, when he started talking serious topics, I think everybody was participating. Everybody was participative, and he kept a ball of chocolates, and he said that anybody who doesn't speak has to pay for the cost of those chocolates, and everybody was speaking. And then he said, I'm going to bring back the bowl again tomorrow. And we said, what happened for the effort that we have put today? He said, I never said I'll give it today.
sure, that proves how much engagement is important when it
Engagement
comes to
is the
L&D.
key. Engagement is the key.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. So this question was raised by Mayurakshi Jaisi. First, she has shared a feedback. Great session so far. My regards to Sudeep, Chandrika, and you. Thank you so much for that lovely comment, and we're happy to know that you found this session very insightful. The question was, my question is, living in the era of ChatGPT, it becomes very difficult to plan engaging sessions. Could be an assessment, could be a random quiz, a quick riddle challenge, or a planned event. How can we make it truly engaging? So I think Mr. Sudeep has already answered that, and he's also shared that you can share, you can ask the employees or the people who are going to be trained about to share their expectations, share stories of the previous learning sessions that happened, do interesting ice breaking sessions so that it becomes more engaging. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Sudeep. Now, I think we have pretty much covered most of the question. There's another feedback from Priyam Desai Shah. Great and informative session. Thank you so much, Priyam. And Divyansh Rati to conclude the whole meeting of today. Okay, I'll do that. And I think most of the questions are already answered. So thank you so much once again. I think for Abdullah, the question is, I'll just read out, Chandrika. I think you were typing an answer, so maybe you can, speak it and we'll just finish it. So the question is, today the soulfulness is missing in the job. Most often I come across situations like employees do have skills, but they don't apply because they're busy finding out faults, pointing others, work for money, and most important, in healthcare systems, the empathy is a key trait to deliver the care. Now, what do you think of this? So this is specifically to you, Chandrika. So if you want to
Yeah,
maybe
it's
add, yeah.
um, yeah, this is all about the mindset, first of all, because whatever it is, as an employee in a particular organization, I think we focus on our growth, first of all. So we make them realize, see, if you are an individual contributor, you be concentrating or focusing on your own tasks, maybe with the support of others. That it's a kind of counseling we do for these kind of people, because we need to tell them, you either do your tasks and forget about pointing out others' mistakes, first thing. And this will only help you grow. If you keep busy doing, pointing out others, then there is no point, because maybe this points what they're pointing out valid, then it helps others. If it is invalid, it is just a waste of time. So I just say this kind of people normally, even we have come across, I'm sure we have come across such people. And we have, as colleagues, we have ignored. As HR, I've counseled. I have counseled them, saying, talking about their own growth, their own path, career growth path, and how they achieve. Why do they require support of the other team members? And that is the reason why we don't have these kind of conversations and gossiping, pointing out others and all. So it's all about changing their mindset with a very confidential conversation with the employees as to understand why are they doing this first. Again, why? And only then we can understand how do we change that. I am sure we can change that, because this is my experience, and I think I can talk to Abdullah individually sometime. Abdullah
Thank you
can
so much.
share his contact number on my email ID, and I would
Sure.
definitely give him a call.
Thank you so much for that, Chandrika. Great conversation today, and some feedback from Renuka. Thank you so much, ma'am and sir. Guna Sekaran, thanks a lot for the wonderful training by Mr. Sudeep and Ms. Chandrika. Good luck. So thank you so much once again. People are asking for recording. Yes, we will do that, but for Divyansh. So Divyansh, and to everybody here today, it was a great session. We can see comments from you. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Sudeep and Ms. Chandrika. We talked about how we have moved on from generic L&D programs, those traditional methods of L&D, to a more meaningful approach towards L&D strategies today, to having technology as well as human interventions, the role of employees and manager relationship, the role of a manager in order to carry out and understand the kind of training to be provided to each individual in his or her team is very, very essential. We talked about how there are different multi-generational workforce that we're catering today to today, right? And so the plans and the strategies that we design have to be personalized, have to be meaningful each of the member that we are approaching it to. Personalization is very, very important, but so is continuous feedback, regular feedback, so that we understand that okay, this is something that we feel we have designed exceptionally well, but what is the kind of feedback that we are getting from the person who is getting trained is also very important to understand the final KPI, the final outcome of the L&D strategy that we have planned. Sangeeta is also sharing. Thank you for the feedback, Chandrika. So thank you so much, everybody, and I hope that helped Divyansh. But yes, to anybody who joined late or anybody who wants to rewatch this session again, you would be able to do that. We will be sharing a thank you mailer with all of you, which will have the recording of today's session. You can watch it again. We will also be sharing Mr. Sudeep's and Ms. Chandrika's email ID with all of you. In case you want to connect with them personally, have these conversations on a deeper level, you should be able to do that. So thank you so much once again for being here with us today. And, thank you so much, Mr. Sudeep and Chandrika, for this. I can't help but read out more feedback messages that we are getting. This is from Mohammed Abuzar. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. And Divyansh also is thanking us for the insight. So thank you so much once again, everybody. Now, just to quickly sum it up, we also have a Great Tribe community, which is a knowledge sharing platform where you can sign up and have these conversations there also. We have experts like Mr. Sudeep, part of that community that can help you with any questions that you would have related to HR, technology, labor laws, compliance, etc. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Also, we talked about, and this was what I wanted to discuss, we talked about L&D, right? And I'm proud to share that Great HR is, does not just offer a full suite HRMS platform for your hire to retire journey, but also is a complete HR ecosystem, right? We have these Parichay webinar sessions, we have a Great FM podcast, we have a Great Tribe community, and also we have a Great HR Academy that you can see on your screen. It's and you can scan the QR code and enroll for these courses on Udemy. you would see a lot of courses related to HR and payroll that you can do for free for this month. So we'll keep this slide on, and you can, scan the QR code and access these 25 plus courses which are there by Great HR Academy in order to upskill and reskill yourselves. And I'm also very, very proud to share that we have over 50,000 learners who have gotten their certifications from Great HR Academy. So please feel free to scan and enroll in these courses. And before we move on, just one last thing from my side is the next webinar, which is what we are going to have on 9th of July. It is going to be on data privacy at workplace and the role of HRs in it, right? It's very important that we deal with a lot of crucial sensitive data, from employee data to other kind of data that we have with us. So how we can protect and ethically use it, and not let it get exploited in any way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the link of that registration link right now, so that all of you can register for that webinar also. I've put it in the chat. You would all see, and you can register for this webinar. Once again, thank you all of you for being here with us today. It was almost a 90-minute session. But we loved your insights, we loved your participation, and we hope to see you in the next webinar very soon. But in the meantime, we are going to keep this slide and the registration link right now with you here, so you can register. In case you have any problem in terms of scanning the QR code, you can, once we share the thank you mailer with all of you, you can respond to that thank you mailer and ask for the Great HR Academy courses. We will personally send it out to you. But the registration link for the upcoming webinar is still in the chat. So I would urge each one of you to register for this upcoming webinar. Share it with your colleagues who will also benefit from this session. And once again, thank you so much for being here with us today. It was a pleasure to host you as always. And the recording will be shared with you very, very soon. Till the time, we are going to keep this session right now till 5:25, another 7 minutes for you to access the registration link and the Great HR Academy course. Thank you so much once again, and have a great evening ahead.